So in today's webinar, we're going to be building a social media planner using Zoho Sheet. So before we get started, I'll also tell you that Prabhakaran is here with us. So any questions you have during the demo will be answered. And let me quickly walk you through today's agenda. We'll go with an introduction of what we are going to do with this planner, and then what is Zoho Sheet, how we can use it, and how to build a social media planner. And I'll also give you a live demo of how I'm doing this. So in this webinar, we'll show you how to build a complete social media planner. I also work in the marketing department. So for Zoho Sheet, we do plan a lot of content for social media, and we've put that into consideration, and we've took some inspirations, and we've come up with this template. And we really hope this is going to help you with your team as well. Now, it's also going to involve a little bit of collaboration as well, so you can also put that to use. And what is Zoho Sheet? It is a free cloud-based spreadsheet app that is built for modern teams. It can help you create new spreadsheets as well as edit your existing ones. If you already have an Excel file, you can bring that in and work on them as well. And Zoho Sheet is also a part of the Zoho's Office suite, which includes Zoho Writer, an online word processor, and Zoho Show, an online presentation software. And here's what you'll build today. We'll learn how to build a content scheduler, or a table, a huge table where you're going to almost keep it as a repository of all of your data. And you're also going to build a content calendar where you're going to fetch the tasks that you have for the dates and put it in the calendar and give you a more visual way to this. And even more visual, we will also have a Gantt chart for all of your tasks, just showing you where exactly you stand with that particular task. You have a blog written, you're going to track how many % of it is done, what more is to be done. We're going to use a Gantt chart to do that. And we'll also have an overview of this dashboard. And so let's get into starting. We'll start building this webinar. And so this is exactly the dashboard that we're going to build. Here we have the number of posts that are scheduled for this month. You see that is for January. We have 5 posts scheduled for this month, and 4 of them have already been published. So in my dashboard, this is all that's going to be there. And I'm going to say this is the number of posts that are being published today, and the posts that are crossing the deadline or something is missing. So we're also going to take care of that. And we're also going to have a chart of how many are published, how many isn't, and your platforms based on that. You have Instagram, YouTube, and all different social media platforms. You're going to also see how much things you've done. In case it's a reel, you've done 5 reels, or it's a video, you've done 2 videos. You're also going to see them in your chart. So all of this is actually going to come from all the next tabs that we have here. So this is the content repository, almost like a thing. So we have the task list, the social media platform, the format, the date of it, the time that you want to publish this, and who it is assigned to. And in case you have a reviewer or a manager, you're also going to put that in. And we're going to say the status of it and the title and description for your post. Now, one thing about social media posts is that you have to stick to the character limit that you have. So one more great addition to this planner is that we're going to keep a conditional formatting where it's going to highlight whenever you're crossing that particular limit. So here I have a table where I have Instagram has these many character limits and LinkedIn has something. So I'm going to say, if it is crossing this limit, I want to just see if it is, and I want to keep it in between those character limit. So to get notified and highlighted if I'm not. So that is about this content scheduler. And next we have the calendar view. So here you'll see all of the tasks that you have put in inside the content scheduler. We saw the last tab. You'll get into and fetch all of that. And this calendar is completely built with just formulas and functions that you're going to see one by one. And there's everything that is automated and brought in by functions. And you're also going to bring back all of the tasks that we have. And we also done something called a custom message, where you're going to see, hello, good morning. You have 2 posts to go live today. You're also going to give a custom message. We'll see how to do that as well. You could totally do this with any function, but we're going to count the number of tasks you have for today and add in a custom message there as well. And then we have the task tracker. So here, let me say we have the tasks and their start date and the end date of that task. And you're just trying to see what are the processes that your things go through with. And we're also going to say if it is going through idea, the draft, review, design, and publish. That is 5 different processes that we have. And if idea is completed, which means 20% of my job is done, and I want that to be highlighted, the progress of this calendar to be known. So which is why I'm using conditional formatting here to do that. And we'll see slowly about how to do this as well. And I've also left something called an idea corner. Now, one of the best parts about being in the marketing team is that you get to come up with the craziest ideas and really beautiful ideas as well. And you have that moment where you just want to note them down and you sometimes lose them. And I wanted to particularly create this because I always have a lot of random ideas for my social media posts, and I just want to keep them and track them in there. So I'm going to also give this ideation there. So let us start with building this. We saw the dashboard. We're also going to have a content scheduler, the calendar view, a task tracker, and a little bit of idea corner. So let's get started. So first thing, we need to put the data in. So we're going to use a source sheet. I have a source sheet so that you don't have to wait for me to type everything down. So let's just copy and paste this in the content scheduler. Okay, now I'm also going to convert this into a table. Now I'm using the shortcut here, that is Option, Command, and T, and click OK. Now you can change the table styles here. And next, I'm going to just add in a couple of data here. So we're going to say for the format, the social media platform, we need a pick list here so that I can keep my data organized and structured. So I'm just going to select that particular thing. Okay, so let's create a pick list here. And create a pick list. So I'm going to say for the social media platforms, I have YouTube and Instagram and a lot of other things. Now, one good thing about having a pick list here is you have either the typing this in a list way, you're just going to type one by one, but you can also select a source range for this instead of having to type them, especially when you have them in your spreadsheet already. So go to the source, I have it here. So I'm going to say, I want social media platforms, this source range to be my pick list entries. So I'm going to click that in and click create. So you can go back to the content scheduler and see those things are actually added into your things. So that's one great thing about pick list. And I'm also going to do the same for the format. I'm going to say cell range, go to the source data, given the format, and click create. Select this range. Okay, click create. We also have assign to. Again, this is going to be a pick list. This is going to be helpful, especially when you have a team working for you, or if you want something like collaboration to be added into this as well. So cell range, and I'm going to select this range from source that is assigned to. Click create again. Okay, now we can go on to add as many pick lists as you want, wherever you want to just keep your data structured and organized. I'm also going to say I have a reviewer, and I'm also going to set the status as well. And so here, as I said, we have the title and the description here. So I'll just paste some data for you to understand. So as I said, we also need this serial number and the task. We'll just put that data here. And then I want some for date and time. Go back to the source, take some date and time from here, copy and paste it in this content scheduler, and go to the source again. And I'm going to say I want this title and description here. And as I said, we'll be using a title and description. We'll be using to join something together in this particular cell. So we're going to join these texts together, and then we're going to say, check if it is actually following the character limit or not. So let's see how to do that. So here we have the title and the description. So I'm going to use a function called text join. Now, this is exactly how it looks once you've joined all the text. Let me show you how to do this for that cell. Put an equal sign, text join, and I'm going to say a delimiter. So when you have multiple cells around, or you're going to select a range, that is, let's imagine I'm selecting from status to title and description, and I also have other ranges, and one of the cell is actually empty. And I might want to either ignore it, or I might also want to add that as a part. So here the delimiter that I want is actually a hyphen. So I just want you to add a hyphen between the title and the description. So I'm going to say, given the new dashboard, put a hyphen and then give me the description so that I can check for my conditional formatting. So always use double quotes to show your conditional or the delimiter that you want to give. Now, the next one is whether you want to ignore that cell which doesn't have any value or not. So if you say true, it will just ignore it. If you say false, it will not. So you have to give that parameter as well. Put a semicolon. And then I'm going to say just take it from this title and description and close that bracket. And there you go. That is the title and description. Now we're going to use the conditional formatting here to check if this text that is joined together is following the character limit or not. So let's select this range, go to the Format tab, select conditional formatting, and it's a classic rule. And so I'm going to say this is going to be a formula. And I'm also going to just copy this from the source. I have this formula. Let me just put it here and then tell you how to use or why this formula is being used here. I will clearly explain that to you. But before that, let me just choose that color that I want. I'm going to say I want it to be red if in case it is crossing that limit, and click apply. So here the limit is in fact being enough. So it's actually not going to give me a red color. So, but let me try giving this. See, it's already changing because it is not following the character limit. It is greater than 0, which is in fact saying it is using that conditional formatting to say that it's going or about the character limit. So let's say 34, it's still going to give me red. So let me explain what this conditional formatting is. We'll see that now. So we're going to manage rules, and I'm going to say that is import to M13. This is the formula. So here I've used two different functions within that single formula cell. So I'm going to say you have to first calculate the length of that cell. So I already have the title and the description together in a cell, and I want you to basically calculate what is the character or what is the number of character or the length of that particular cell. And then you're going to check if it is actually following the ones with the tables that I have here. So I have Instagram that says a character limit, a LinkedIn that says a character limit, and I want you to take it from that table and check it and tell me if it is going through or not. So for that, I've used the XLOOKUP function. So whenever it crosses or goes above that, we're going to highlight that. So XLOOKUP, we're just going to say you have to first look at the platform or the social media platform. I'm saying here it is Instagram. So you have to look what is the social media platform here. And I'm saying it is Instagram here for this particular cell. Once I know it is Instagram, I'm going to go back to this table, look up for Instagram, and look up for what is the character limit for that. So we have 3 parameters here, that is giving what you want to search for, and that thing that you're searching for is in another range. You're giving that, and you also want to click another cell from a different range that is actually corresponding to this. So you're using the XLOOKUP function to do that, and click apply. So that is about this thing. And that is how you can simply use this conditional formatting. And this is going to be great and useful for you if you're going to use a lot of captions and descriptions for your social media posts. And next we'll move into the calendar view. Now, here is a completely different thing. So far, we've been using functions that are already there in the spreadsheet. That's already there in Zoho Sheet, and we're going to use them. But for calendar, it's pretty different actually, because we don't have the functions that we need to create these, because these are going to be customized functions. So let's see how to create these customized functions. Now, what do I mean when I say customized functions? So I have inbuilt functions, but I want to know, is there a way I can create a function for simple interest, which I do not have, by the way. I'm going to create a customized functions, but in fact, we're not going to use, we also have another feature called custom functions, using a completely different language. But right now, we're just going to use simple English, nothing at all, and we're going to create our own custom function. So let me show you how to do that for simple interest. So what do we need for a simple interest usually? We need a principal amount, we need the rate of interest, and we need the time period. And the formula for that is basically we are going to multiply all of these and then give divided by 100. So I do not have a formula for this. I'm going to create one myself, for which we'll be using something called a lambda function. So lambda functions help us to customize these solutions, and these are going to be a great game changer. If you want customized solutions for your team, you can totally use them. So let me show you how to create one. So we're going to insert all of these lambda functions into something called a defined name. So go to the insert bar and define name and click create. The reason we're putting this under a define name, you can obviously use these lambda functions in any of the cells, but you'll only be using it there and that will be forgotten, or it can only be used there and you have to copy that into different cells. The reason we're putting them under defined name is actually because we want to use this wherever we want. I'm going to give this a name and I'm going to call for it wherever I want. So we have the principal amount, the rate of interest, and time period. And I'm going to show you how to create a lambda function for simple interest. Let's go to the insert bar, define name, and click create. I'm going to name this simple interest. And I'm going to write the lambda function for this. So for a lambda function, just as usual, the way we use any function, we're going to say lambda and open that bracket. And here's when you're going to give the variables that you want. So here the variables for me are the principal amount, the rate of interest, and time. So I'm going to say we need a P, and we need an R, and we need another time period. And then once you've given all of your variables, you're going to put another semicolon and give the condition or the formula that you want this to go with. So I'll give you the variables and I want you to do something with these variables, and I'll specify what I need you to do. So I'm saying I just basically want you to multiply these together, and T, and divide them by 100. So I've given the lambda function here and click apply. So let's see if that's working. So let's already give some principal amount, 4% interest, and 5 years. So I'm going to use this lambda function called simple interest and open that bracket all the time, principal amount, your time or the rate of interest, and then the time period, and close that bracket. And it's going to return you with the simple interest. So you saw how easy it is to create a lambda function and use it to your customized needs. So in the same way, we're going to see how to use these functions and create this calendar. So we'll go on to create whatever we need for the calendar that we're creating. So I've already created these and kept it there so I can explain it to you clearly about what it is that we're doing. So I'm going to specify the defined names, and I'm going to first say, I need you to do it based on the month and the year that I give you. So if I say, I want this calendar for January 1, I want it for January, you have to give it for January. If I want it for 2026 January, and I want you to basically give that to me. So what we're going to do is create defined names just for the month and the year. So I'm going to say this is something that I'll call whenever I want, wherever I want. So I'm going to say for the month and the year as well, which is why I've created the year and the month defined names. So the year basically goes to this cell that is saying C2 is my year, and I'm going to say month is B2. That is about this defined name. And anything about this calendar, firstly, we need to understand what is the first day of this entire year. This might seem a little bit confusing as we're just getting started. We're going to use 4 major Lambda functions to create this calendar. So we're first going to create a first day function to just return what is the first day of the month. We all know that first day of the month is going to be January 1, 2026, February 1, 2026. But we have to give it in a way that the spreadsheet can take it and say, okay, so 1 is the date, January is the month, and 2026 is the year, in fact. So it can take it in different ways and then segregate it and use it whenever you want or take it wherever you want. And it's going to be able to understand what we're giving and specifying. So we want that to be very clear. So we're going to create something called a first day. So let me show you what's inside this first day. Now, this might sometimes look like this is not a long function, but some things here might look like a long function or a formula, but you will totally understand once you beautify this into a very simpler view to this function. So I'm going to say lambda, I'm giving you the month and the year, but what I want you to do is return the date value of what I'm saying is 1 is common for anything you're creating because it is the first day, I'm just giving you 1. And then with the month and the year I gave you, you have to give the month that I gave you and then just follow it with the year I gave you. So there's nothing to worry about. You're just going to use the date value function, which is going to segregate these in different ways. The number 1 is the date, month is January, and year is 2026. So it's going to give me that. Now, one fun fact about date value is that if we're standing here in January 2026 and you're entering that value into a cell, you're going to see that it is the number of days that has passed since January 1, 1900. So ever since then, how many days have been crossed and passed? So that is the date value function. So it will return that as a number and then give it in a way that it understands the month and the year and the date as well. So I'm just saying return the first date for me. And I'm going to click that save. So let's just put it anywhere and see if this is working or not. So I'm going to say, I created something called a first day. So whenever you're opening a Lambda functions, put an open bracket. And I'm going to say, this is the month and the year because the parameters I gave are the month and the year, close that bracket. It is returning me 1. Even though we knew that it was 1, we just need this cleared and segregated so that we can continue to work on. So that is the first day function. And next, we are going to do the start function. We're going to give the month, the year, and the weekday now. We saw what was the month and the year. We created the first day. And now for that first day, you're also going to check what is the weekday. Is it the same weekday that I have that is Sunday? Or is it a Monday? We're going to check that. So we've given the month, the year, and the weekday. So we're going to say if the first day is equal to the same day, then you have to put the number 1 there. So whichever first day we created, which is number 1, just put it there. If it's not, give me a hyphen. But before that, the reason I've used a couple of other functions there, what is the D, and D, or what is the text function there? That is because January 1, or the number 1, the first day we gave, is actually just a number. We haven't extracted what is the day of that particular thing. So we're going to use a function called text first, and then find out what is that day in fact. So I'm going to find what is this January 1, 2026. So we know in this case that it's in fact a Thursday, but we have to bear with it until we get there to use all of these functions and formulas so that it is equally the same for the rest of the months as well. So I'm going to say, use the text function And I'm going to check it for the first day, which I created already. I know that is January 1, 2026. Find and extract it in a way that is day. So you're going to, the format is the day that I've given under the double quotes. I've said, find out if it is that day and check if it is that in fact a weekday. If it is, then just give me the first day. That is number one. Put that number one there under that Sunday if it is in fact the Sunday. And then if it is not, just put a hyphen. So we're going to check if this is a Sunday or not using the function we just created. We're just checking if this happened or if it is great or not. So I'm going to say the whatever the function I created right now is called start. Open that bracket for me. And I'm going to give 3 different parameters that I gave or the variables that I gave. Remember, I gave obviously the month and the date or the year is often going to come and go. And I'm going to say, check the same for this year. And I'm also going with the third variable, that is the day, which is a Sunday. And I'm going to check that. Now it's returning me a hyphen because we know that January 1, 2026 isn't in fact a Sunday. Now, the next thing to do is then what is that first day? So we're going to specify that. And then we're going to check on, so in case Sunday was in fact number 1, what do we do then? So we're going to answer all of these questions with just 2 more functions. We already covered 2, and we're going to go with 2 more. That is week trail function. So here again, I have a lambda. I gave you the month, the year, and the weekday, and you gave me that's it's not a Sunday and it's not a Monday. We know that, but we're going to use these formulas and then find out which day it is and put it right there. So I'm saying this time I'll give you the month, the year, the weekday, and what was the previous day. So in case, or just in case, Sunday was number 1, what if January 1, 2026 was number 1? In case if it was, I'm going to say just add +1 to it. If you figure out that it was in fact a number, you're just going to give +1 to it, which is why I've used if number function. If it is number, I'm going to say just add previous day +1. So I gave you the month, the year, the weekday, and the previous day. So I'm going to give an if condition. So for that, I'm saying if the last previous day or the previous day is a number, then return previous day +1. So if Sunday was 1, then it will return me Monday as 2. But if it is not, then just go back to the start function. Just go on with your hyphens or go on with checking if it is Monday, that is 1. You're going to follow with the last function. Now the last function would have returned as 1 if Sunday was in fact 1st January 2026. So you just have to check back and see if it is 1 or if it is not. In this case, it's not going to be, but let's just check if it is clear or not. We call this week trail. Open that bracket. And then we gave you 4 different variables this time, and you have to find us if this is the day or not. And I'm going to give you the month, the year, and I'm going to give the weekday, and I'm also giving you the last day. Again, it's a hyphen because that is not the day. But now you can actually continue to drag and drop this item till this Saturday, but we'll figure out what to do for the next column or the next row totally differently. So let me just drag and drop this down. But I need to say what is common for this, for the rest of the cells. I need to say B2 is in fact common for the rest of the rows. So you just have to drag and drop that down. So I'm going to say this month is common. So for that, it's going to be common for the rest of the rows. I'm using the cell referencing here. You can use the F4 key to switch between references. So that's a shortcut again. You can switch between references here. And again, the year is also common. So I'm saying F4 key. And I'm saying that column C is not common for me, but this row 6 is, or this row 5 is. So I'm going to just give that dollar symbol there. If you see only this 5th row, that is the weekday, and this previous day, it's going to be the same number. So I'm going to give only for that. I'm not giving it for C or B because it's not going to be the same column for me. And press return. Now we can drag and drop that down and magically find out if Thursday is number 1 or not. Great, it is. The last function that we have is called last week. So we're going to check if, so let's say January 1 or this January only has 31 days. So what if it crosses 31? I'm just going to drag and drop this item until whichever day I want. And what if it's crossing 31? What if it's February and you're going to February 30, which doesn't exist, by the way? So we're going to create a function that is going to put a hyphen whenever it's crossing that limit. If it's going to be 32, just put a hyphen. If that previous cell plus 1 is going to give me 32, which doesn't exist, by the way, just give me a hyphen. So I'm going to say and create the one final function to get this ready, but we will be seeing a lot of other formulas and functions as well. So by the end of the session, I hope you have an idea about what these Lambda functions are. And we're also planning to cover on YouTube as well a full video about how to use Lambda functions for the other ways and different inbuilt functions that can also come in. So here I have a Lambda function. So I'm going to say, I'll only give you previous day because everything else is already set. Now, the reason it's giving you a value error here because we know that 29 is not a part of the month, so which means last week is actually working. It's giving you a hyphen because it's not a part of that month. 29 isn't because this isn't a leap year. So it's giving you a value error because we didn't give a condition. In case if the last thing is already a hyphen, you have to return hyphen as well. And if we did that, it would actually give me the right one. So that is the amount of defined functions we have to create only to get these dates into this calendar. And now I'm going to say I want to fetch all the records or the tasks that I have in the other table that I created, that is the content scheduler. So I'm going to again create another Lambda function. Please don't get bored of me. And I'm going to say in this Lambda function, I'm going to say you have only one variable, that is check the date, that is number 1 here, if you're checking for February. Let me quickly change this to January because I don't have any source data for in my table for February. So I don't want this to be empty. So I'm just changing only because of that. So let's go into this fetch. What do we do with this? So I'm going to say the only thing that you'll ever need is the date. And then I'm going to say you're going to use the function called filter. So I'm going to say the table 1, you have to check from that. And then you have to return the ones based on the date. So task is what I want to return and based on the date that I want to return. So I'm going to use this, that is the filter. So let me show you based on this. It is written as table 1 task. So let me show you why this is table 1 and task. So if you can see here, this Lambda function, it says filter based on, I want this to be returned. So that is what I've selected first. And then the next that I've said is table 1 date. Based on this, I want you to return. So I'm saying filter and get me the tasks based on the date that I give you. And the only thing that I'm going to give you is the date because I only want you to check based on the date and click save and go to the calendar view. I'm going to say fetch based on this date, which isn't a date. So which is why it is going to return me NA. So let's see for something that we have the data for. We have for January 12th. So let's go and check if that's working. I'm going to go to January 12th, use this fetch function that we just created. And I'm going to say for this 12, fetch me the record. Great. We got feature announcement there. We have something to plan. So that is about fetching this. And next, you're also, as I said, going to create a custom text for yourself. So you're going to say, okay, you have exactly these many tasks to do today. So I'm going to create another function here, but not a Lambda function. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So I'm going to say, we'll go back to the ones that we already have. Content scheduler, the calendar. Let me copy this for you and paste it here. Okay, now there we go. That is exactly right. So let me explain this for you. So I'm saying you have to count based on today. So I'm giving the count if function. So only if the tasks are for today, you have to count the number and then let me know how many are there. And I'm also adding a customized message here. So in case you don't want the customized message, that's cool too. You can just remove these, whatever I put inside the double quotes and that ampersand as well, and then that will be removed. And I'm going to say count if the content scheduler, that is, I have this table or this table, I'm going to say you have to check from, I'm going to say you have to check from which again? Okay, F4 to F15. That is date. You have to check this date and tell me which is matching with today's date. So today is January 22. So I'm going to say how many are matching. So give me the count of how many things are matching, which is why I've used the today functions. In case you don't know what a today function is, let me show you quickly how to use the today function. Today, press return. It is returning you. Oh, it's 23. Okay, I'm a Chennai, so it is officially January 23, which is why we cannot see any posts here. I thought this was still going to be January 22, but we'll change it to just get us the number of posts correctly here. So this today function is going to return us what is the date today. And once you reload this, if I created this function yesterday and I reload this page today, it is going to give me January 23, 2026, because it changes with time and date. Now, if you're looking for something to do similar to this, you can also use the now function, which is for time. This is for date, that is for time. If you use the now function, you can return the time exactly right now. So this also changes with time. Yeah. So we've said check for that content scheduler for the date and tell me whichever is following the today function, or just today, whichever is following for today. Then give me the count and then just add these things in between so that it gives me a proper notification panel kind of view. It's going to welcome me as soon as I come into this spreadsheet. So just put that under double quotes, use the ampersand, and join them or concatenate them together. So that is all about this calendar. Let me give you one thing about this. If you're in fact going to create this content calendar for yourself, one great thing about this is that Lambda functions do not have any cell referencing. So you can simply copy and paste these Lambda functions, the same things that I created, and then simply use your own variables. You're just going to give different cells based on what you want. You're gonna have to absolutely not worry about the cell referencing at all. Yes. So let's now jump into the task tracker. So far, all we did was organize it for us to just know that we're publishing this today, we're publishing this tomorrow. But now what we're going to do is also bring in a little bit, just a little bit of collaboration here. So I'm going to say there are 4 people in my team, and I want to assign them tasks as I did in the content scheduler. And I'm going to say, now I want to track how much % of the work is done. So I go through different areas. Working in the marketing team, we go through coming up with the idea. As I said, we put it in the idea corner, and then we move into the content. In fact, okay, this is the finalized content, and then we create a draft for it. Either it's a blog, we create a draft for it, and then if it's a video, we shoot a video for it, and then we go through a reviewer process. Either my manager is going to review it, or one of my colleagues is going to give me a peer review, and then I'm going to go with a design item. And then now we're going to calculate the number of days between these. So let me tell you, for this, we have many different functions that you can use. That is, we have network days, which one is not something we're going to use today, but I'm just giving you, there are different day functions. And so you can see we're going to use just the days function, but there's something called a network days function, where you can specify if you have any holiday range. So in case you have holidays in your team or in your company, you go through a scheduled holiday all the time and you want to just remove them from the amount of days that you have in your work days. So you can use that to just reduce them on its own and automate that for you. But today we're just going to use the days function. I'm going to say the end date and then the start date. The problem here is it's going to give me the difference here, but I want to also include the start date and the end date. So I'm going to just give +1 to this, because I also want the start date and the end date to be together, and because this task is from the start date to the end date, so press enter and it will give me exactly that. So here we have these stages or things that we go through. We have idea, draft, review, design, and publish. So I'm just going to simply put a checklist for this. Go to the insert bar and select a checkbox. So if you check on idea, 20% of your task is done. If you check on draft, another 40% is done. So one by one, if you check on them, your percentage done has to be calculated, which is why I'm going to give in another formula here. I'm going to say, find the sum of these checkboxes that is from H5 to L5. I'm going to say H5 to L5 and then divide that by 5. So it's giving me 0% right now because I haven't checked any of these boxes. But if I do, it'll give me based on that and return the percentage done. And next, we need to get a little bit of a calendar, but don't worry, we're not using any Lambda functions. We're going to use a very simple function to just give us the 365 days of this whole year. And I've given the date, the year here. So I'm going to use that to bring the entire year's days here. So I'm going to put an equal sign. We're going to use something called a sequence function because we want this as a sequence. I'm going to just find what is it for 1st January, and then I'm going to say just keep adding +1 to this, and you have to give me the exact thing in the format that I give you. So I'm saying sequence. So we're going to say we only want for this row, that is the third row. I'm going to say just one row. And the number of columns is going to be 365 because we have 365 days in a year. And next, we're going to say the first value is actually a date. So right now, I don't have the date here anywhere. So I'm going to use the date function here within this to say you have to find the date and then go on to adding 1 to that particular date that we just created. So I'm going to say the date is going to be, I'm giving you the year, and I'm saying the first day is going to be 1 January and the year that I already gave you, and press return. Yes, that just gave me the entire year's date. So now we're going to use conditional formatting to just help us with letting us know how many % of the work is actually done. To do that, let me quickly go back to this demo spreadsheet that we have. I'm going to show you there exactly. So this is the Gantt chart that we're going to build. It's going to calculate the percentage that is already done and what's remaining. So we are only going to use 2 conditional formattings here. So let me show you that. Go to the Format tab, Conditional Formatting, and Manage Rules. I'm going to show you what this is about. So the first condition that I gave is you just have to highlight anything that falls within the time period. So I gave you the first date, the starting date and the end date, and I want you to highlight everything that's in between. So I'm using the AND function here. So to just say that it has to satisfy or check both of them are clear or both of them are true, in fact. So I'm saying check if this date, we're giving in the calendar's start date, and then we're going to select this entire range. By the way, we're selecting this entire range, which is why this entire range has been selected here in this applies to, as you see. And I'm going to say for this date, and you're going to check if that is greater than or equal to the start date, which is here. You're going to check if it is greater than or equal to the start date. And next, you're going to say if it is less than or equal to the end date, which means anything that is greater than the start date should be highlighted, and anything that is less than the end date should also be highlighted, which means the entirety of that time period is going to be highlighted. And I'm clicking that apply, so it's already being highlighted here. And the next one that I'm going to give is highlighting only the progress that is done. So we do know what is the percentage done, but we do not know what is the percentage done in terms of a date. So if there is 10 days and your 10% of your work is done, we need to know what is that 10% of work in days. So if it is 1 day for 10%, how many is it for 40% of 10 days. What is 40% of just 10 days? You're going to find that and then highlight just those cells. So again, we're using the AND function here. We are obviously checking if this date is greater than or equal to the start date again, just checking that the entire thing is again highlighted. And we're going to say you have to only highlight the part starting with the first date to the time where I'm saying the percentage of the work has been completed. So if you see here, I'm saying to basically find out what is the percentage of work done in days, I'm saying add the start date to the percentage done and multiply it with the number of days. So you want to find out what is the number of days, as in 80%, what is the 80% of the number of days? So I'm going to multiply this to this and then add it to the start date so that I get to highlight the entire thing, that is the progress done. Click apply. So you can clearly see what is the percentage done here. And that is about this task tracker. And we'll go back to our sheet. Okay, as I said, we'll move into the ideation part of this. We saw how to create a content scheduler, and then we saw how to create a calendar view to this. And now we also saw how to create a Gantt chart for us using conditional formatting, keeping it more clear and knowing how much percent of your work is done. So let's go into the ideation table. So I'm going to again create this. So I'm going to say, I'm going to take it from the source, the serial number and everything, and then go to the idea corner and then put it here. Now this is just going to act like a table for me to just keep my ideas there. So I can add in anything that I want. Again, create the pick list that I want. I'm going to say some data here, some random things that I want. I'm going to say some things here from this and copy and paste it down to this idea corner. And I can also set the pick list from this that I already have to this idea corner. And then format is again a pick list. But for the series, we're going to give the things that we want. And I'll show you once all of this is done, how it's going to look in our demo sheet. So as we saw in the idea corner, this is how it's going to look. You're going to have a task, a platform, a format. And in case you want to convert it into a task, you can simply say it is being converted into a task. And this will be removed and it will be added to the content scheduler, for which we're using macros to do that. You can get the macro code from us if you want to automate this process for you as well. So that is about this idea corner, to just keep it simple and organized if you have any ideas. So let's quickly jump back to this dashboard. So now I'll show you how to create this and what I've done to create this. So let's see, here we have the number of posts scheduled. For that, I've used the countIf function. So let me show you, for all of these 4 things that I've created, we're going to use the countIf and countifs function to just get a count of how many is published, how many is yet to be published. We're just going to figure that out for us. So at first, I'm going to say, put an equal sign and countif function. You have to count only if this condition is satisfied. That is, from this table, that is the table 1 that we have here, I want you to check the date, and you have to return that as a month, as in we know 12/1/26 is January, but we need a spreadsheet to understand that. So we're saying just find me that date and just extract that particular month, and if it belongs to the date that we're giving here. So before we get started with this dashboard, just create a pick list or create a cell or allocate a cell to this particular cell or anything in the spreadsheet. So I'm going to keep it there. And I'm going to say, check if that date falls on this month. If it does, then just count all of it, the number of things there, and then just return that number of, or the count that we already have. So for now, I have January, and I'm saying in the month January, any task that is there, convert them into the text and find out if it is in January, and then return the count. In the same way, I'm doing this for the number of posts published this month. That is the number of posts that is scheduled, and this is going to be the number of posts that is published, which means we need two different conditions here. So we're going to say count if, the same thing we said already, check if it is in January. If it is January, then just return me the count. And plus, we're going to say the task or the content that we have planned is actually published. So only when it is published and the month is the same as I gave you, then return me this value, then return me the count. So that is exactly what we're saying here. So that is it about. And number of posts published today. So we do not have anything today because I gave in the date for 22 and it's 23 already. So I'm going to just simply change one of these and check if it's working. It's 23, but it's February. So again, 1. Let's go back to the dashboard and see. Number of posts published today, date is today, and it is published. Okay, we need to select published for that particular post. So this is in progress. I'm going to change it to published. So we're checking if both of these conditions are actually satisfied. And yes, it is. So it is giving me the count as 1. And next we have the number of posts delayed. Again, this is a counter function because we need to find out what is the post that is not done fully. And we also need to find out if it has crossed the deadline. So we're saying if this end date that you're giving or the published date that you're giving is already past today and the percentage isn't done yet, then just return me the number there. So we're basically saying in case anything crossed deadlines, you're going to return that to me only when the date is already past today. The end date is before today, which means the end date is already over, but you're still not done with that task. And you're also saying the percentage that is less than 1, just inside those quotes, it's saying if it is less than 100% done. So that is exactly what we're saying there. And if that is the case, then just return me the number there. That is the count. So those are the count ifs and count ifs function. So if you have only one condition, give me count if. If you have multiple conditions to satisfy, you can give or use the count ifs function. And next we have the charts. So I've used a column chart for this, the count of the published items in my list. So I'm going to say the things that are in progress, things that are published. Let me show you how to create one here. So I'm going to select based on this status. I can select this row as much as I want and go to the chart here. And I'm going to select a column chart, column, and that is one. You can also change the styles and change the name of it. I'm going to say this is the published status. So that is the published count or any name that I want to give. And one thing about data labels is you can specify what you want to show in those things. I'm going to say I want both the data, I want it to be data label and the value as well. So it's saying in progress is 11, published is 5. Now we'll also see how to use this for the pie chart. And if you want to move this anywhere, you can click on to move. And I'm going to say I want to move it to the dashboard, which is already here. So I'm going to just delete this for a while. And this is going to be the two other pie charts we're going to insert for this dashboard. So go back to this content scheduler, select which you want. So you want to know how many content you've published on Instagram or LinkedIn. I'm going to select that range and then go to the charts again. Select a pie chart, any chart that you want, and click that again. So I also want this labels to be shown because I want to know how much is that. So I'm going to customize data labels, show label and value. So now we can see it's not in percent anymore. It's going to show you the number. Great then. So that is everything about this spreadsheet and this template overall. So if you need any further assistance, you can reach out to us through multiple channels, and our phone lines are also open 24/5. And you can find the contact numbers on our website. And we also offer this live chat option. available 24/7, and you can visit the Zoho Workday website and click on the chat icon to connect with our support team immediately. And if you prefer emails, we have the IDs here. And any queries or assistance, you can totally mail them and get yours cleared.